The secret is to develop emotional maturity and self-stability. Time for a breather show. Let's mix it up a little bit and talk relationships. Yeah, and the importance of emotional self-stability. I love the writing of Kris Gage on themedium.com, and she's the one who emphasizes this point beautifully in numerous articles. She talks about emotional maturity or emotional self-stability and calls it the #1 relationship attribute. In one of her articles, she says, without it, nothing else matters, and starts in making the case that a lot of times we hear, or when she asks people, what's the key to making a relationship last? Some of the most common answers you'll get, according to Kris Gage's article, are communication, trust, respect. But the thing is, she says, those are not the secret. Mark Manson makes a similar point that everyone emphasizes communication as a relationship ideal, but back to Gage's article, quote, communication will get you statements like, I loathe you sometimes, I sometimes regret marrying you, and we can go on and fill in things here that are examples of poor communication or emotionally charged negative communication. You're an idiot, I hate you, you're a shitty father, right, on and on and on. What kind of communication is that? How does that help a relationship? I don't see the point. So back to Gage. And while these are an exaggeration, the point is saying something is not a solution to any problem. It's just lobbing it out into space between two people. And if you don't follow up, it doesn't do anything. Instead, the secret is to develop emotional maturity and self-stability. How do you do that? Here are some bullet point offerings, recommendations from Gage to work toward that esteemed goal of developing your own emotional stability and maturity. Kindness, honesty, respect, and also self-respect without subjugation. That means loving others means first loving ourselves, which necessitates self-respect. Don't bury your self-worth in others or love through subjugation. Responsibility, and this is for our own emotions, wants, and needs. Emotional boundaries. This is taking ownership of our own happiness or unhappiness and not hanging it on our partner. Compromise. Again, quoting Gage, neither person wins in a fight because mature couples have discussions, not verbal boxing matches. You've probably heard that common tidbit quote, would you rather win the argument or stay married? Okay, conflict resolution. This is when both seek to understand before being understood. Hear their partner's side, know how to have a mature discussion and how to apologize. And here's examples of things that are not apologies. I'm sorry that you blank, 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 or I'm sorry, but blank, blank, blank. These are bullshit, emotionally immature statements. And boy, are those pretty common where we muster up, what would it be, 65% of the juice to offer up an apology, but it's a conditional and laced with these backhanded bullshit statements. So I love how Kris Gage calls these out. I'm sorry that you blank, 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 or I'm sorry, but are not true apologies. And finally, on the bulleted list, being reasonable and rational, not selfish or petty. So that goal of developing emotional maturity and self-stability, love putting that at the centerpiece of relationship advice. Jumping over to a couple quick quotes to end this very short breather show, to give you a breather from those breather shows that ran a little bit long when we're talking about diet and carbohydrates and the role. Tony Robbins, one of my favorite quotes ever, especially when it comes to struggling through relationship difficulties and trying to keep your eye on the big picture and honor some of these suggestions when it's difficult to maintain emotional maturity, self-stability, love, kindness, honesty, respect, responsibility, emotional boundaries, compromise, conflict resolution. Easier said than done. But Tony says, quote, the most important decision of your life is deciding whether you're truly committed to being happy every single day, no matter what, end quote. And then what's it going to take? What kind of guts do you have to muster up to do what you got to do in pursuit of being happy rather than being right or being afraid of alternatives that are going to lead to happiness and personal growth, but require some immediate pain and suffering? I love Brene Brown quotes here where she said, oh, shoot, it's something like a minute of a difficult conversation, a minute of, an ordeal is far better than a week of resentment, something like that. All right. Go to it. Pursue that emotional maturity and self-stability. Thanks for listening. More breathers coming up on the topic of relationship advice.